Hello, Health Accelerator family. We are live, I believe, on YouTube. I just need to get us going live on Facebook and we will be good. All right. I think we're almost there. Awesome. All right. Hello, Health Accelerator family. Welcome to tonight's class. We are going to be talking about how to bet on yourself in 2025. I can't believe we are officially here. 2025 is starting off strong. And so, what does 2025 look like for you? What are the goals that you have set? We talked last week about bringing your goals to class. We're going to talk about how to so that you can reach them, right? And 2025 is as good a time as any to bet on yourself. Okay. I was listening to a YouTube video this morning and it had a segment on there from a sportscaster from ESPN. His name's Stephen A. And he's been known to be kind of controversial. However, I thought some of the nuggets that he was saying were really, really pretty powerful. And so I want to talk about some of those. And as you think about the goals that you've set for yourself, think about where you're at, where you were last year, where you're at this year, and where you want to be at the end of this year, right? That's what goal setting is. Goal setting is bettering ourselves. Okay. And so when we think of that in terms of the different buckets, right? Our health, our relationships, our career, our finances, these are things that we are really working to elevate. Okay. And if you think about it, everyone has apprehension, right? Put a yes in the chat if you've ever been a little apprehensive about, I don't know if I can do this or not. I, you know, I don't know if I can reach. That's totally normal. We've all been there. There a lot, right? When I set lofty goals for a lot of times it's like, man, they're kind of scary. And so okay to feel apprehensive. And I want to remind you, just how are you going to feel if you don't try, right? If you're looking in the mirror and saying, hey, this is what I want to accomplish. Whether it's, hey, I want to go from exercising once a week, 4 times a week, whether it's, hey, I'm eating on plan 80% of the time to eat 90% of the time, the measure, right? We've all heard of SMART goals. Make sure they're measurable, attainable. They have a time, they're time oriented, right? So set goals for the week, the month, the quarter, and the year. Okay. I have goals that are written in that form. What do I want to make sure I get done weekly? What do I want to make sure I get done monthly, quarter, yearly? Okay. I have some big goals that I want to hit this year. And so I had to break those down into smaller goals. All right. So, what is it that you're working toward this year? And talk about the concept of consistency because you are not going to be 100% perfect in the pursuit of your goals. When I lost 113 pounds, I always say, and a lot of you have heard me say this, pound 113. And how did I do that? I showed up for myself consistently, but I wasn't perfect, right? There were days where, man, I just didn't feel like drinking the water plan. But the key was being consistent. When we're not consistent, that's when we start to really go backwards and we're not making that progress toward our goals. Okay. So as we move into thinking about our goals, right? Think of them in terms of the system. All right. What we eat, what we think, what we do. Of course, those are the 3 pillars. We have the opt in. Okay. So we opt in every single time we make a decision once a day, once a week, or whatever. We opt in every single time we make a do something or not do something. Do I show up for myself? Do I not show up for myself right now? Okay, so we opt in. Then we have the education. When we know better, we do better. Okay, that's why we show up. We look at the research, we read the books, we come to get the knowledge, because when we know better, we can do better. And it's amazing to me the amount of people, when they start their health accelerator journey, myself included, things that I thought were good choices and serving me, I found out, hey, you know what? It's okay to have that every now and then, but it's not something I need to be eating all the time. But things are marketed, especially this time of year, because all the health goals are out there, right? It's the new year. And so things are marketed and pushed to us like, hey, eat this and you'll lose weight. Take this supplement and you'll lose weight. Take this supplement. It's the magic secret ingredient from the ancient world or whatever. And put a yes in the chat if you have ever seen that come across your Facebook. And I apologize if you haven't, because the algorithms are probably going to have it show up on your feed now. But that's just the reality. Companies are pushing products and supplements just all the time. Now, I lost 113 pounds eating real whole foods, okay, because I had the education to do it. I didn't need all the bars and all the things. And that's not saying that those things can't work, but what it's saying is, let's do this the right way. Let's do this the way that's going to create those lasting behavior changes and habits. Okay. And so that's the education piece. Then you have the accountability piece. Accountability is huge. Without accountability, what are we doing? Right? So when you show up for yourself, when you're betting on yourself, right? How will you feel if you never tried? That's accountability. And when you're thinking of accountability in terms of goals, we think about, why do we want these goals to happen? What am I being more accountable to in the end? Like, what is my why? What am I working toward? And when you have that strong why, and we talked about your why needing to really, really resonate with your core values. So you have that why. So why am I showing up? Why am I being consistent in the pursuit of my goals? So you have that. And that's when you can really start to say, okay, so I've got my why and I can be consistent, and I'm holding myself accountable not only to the actions and the habits, but I'm holding myself accountable to reaching those goals, because they are so deeply connected with my why and my core values. Right? There's a reason I want to get healthy. What is that reason? And hold yourself accountable to that. And it's really powerful if you put your why somewhere where you can see it every single day. So that when you are opting in for those decisions, right? Every time you make a decision, your why may be visible, right? That's so powerful, because then it's like, okay, I'm holding myself accountable to reaching my why. Every single time I make a decision, I'm opting in, and I have the education. I know better, so I'm going to do better, and I can hold myself accountable to my why. Okay, then the next one is tracking, right? We talk about goals being measurable. Okay, how are we tracking them? Are we writing them down? Are you going back? Are you keeping a log, right? Tracking not only your food, but tracking your workouts, your water intake. How are you feeling? Tracking all of the things that you're supposed to be doing each day to get you where you want to be. And that's why we say break those goals up into daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, and yearly goals. It doesn't mean that it has to be this big, huge process. It's just break it down a little bit, right? What's going to be the steps that you take to lose that 1 pound, right? Or whatever your goal is, okay? What's going to be the steps you take to elevate yourself in whatever area you're looking to elevate yourself, right? But let's just think in terms of weight loss or getting healthy. What are the steps you're going to take to lose that 1 pound? Or maybe you're trying to gain weight and gain muscle. What's going to be the one step you're going to take to gain that 1 pound of muscle, or that 1 pound or 5 pound increase in the gym, right? What does that look like for you? What are the steps you're going to take to get there? And track those. Are you doing those things? All right. Then the next one is behavior modification. When we think in terms of reaching our goals and betting on ourselves, right? We are committing to ourselves that, hey, I'm going to show up as a better version of myself. I'm going to show up and do better. So therefore, I'm going to make sure that I'm getting where I need to be, right? And that's where we can really, really start to make a lot of progress, right? We're not going to change anything if we don't change our behavior. That's where habit change starts. So, what did I have to do when I was losing that 1 pound 113 times? Well, I'll tell you what, I couldn't do weekly pizza night anymore. That wasn't going to happen. I couldn't hit snooze 1,000 times and roll out of bed 10 minutes before I had to leave the house just in enough time to shower and get out the door, right? I couldn't do those things anymore. I had to modify my behavior. So I picked one and I started with that. And then I added another, and then I added another. Okay. That's how we create those habit changes. And that's how we break it off. It's step by step, right? You're not doing this big, huge transformation at one time, because then we get discouraged and it's much harder to be consistent when we add 5 to 10 things that we say, okay, I have to do all of these. That's that all or nothing mentality, when really it needs to be a better is better mentality. Track your wins. That's number 6, right? So once we modify those behaviors, track all of your wins, right? Did you do better today than you did yesterday? That's a win. Count it. Did I bet on myself and win today? That's incredible, right? That's when you can bet on yourself, whether you're winning or losing, right? You say, I bet on myself and I'm showing up as the best version of myself. That's when that confidence starts to come. Because again, how will you feel if you never even try? How will you feel if it's well, someday I want to do this. Maybe one day I'll get here. Maybe one day I'll be able to do this. No, bet on yourself. Set a goal and break it down into more easier to bite off little chunks, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you lose 113 pounds? 1 pound at a time. So, what is something you can do to move forward a little bit? And then, how do you get there to the next one, right? Celebrate those wins. And then giving back, right? When we give back, we think about, how can I add value to those around me? If you are constantly thinking about, how can I be the best version of myself and how can I add value to those around me, then that's betting on yourself, because you're saying, hey, I have value to add. How can I do that? How can I best do that in whatever environment I'm in, whether it's at work, at home, in a relationship, wherever it is? Okay. What is my strong suit? What am I going to bring to the table that's going to add value to the environment or to the people that are in that environment? And that's betting on yourself. So you look around and you see, where do I fit in best? What is my strength? And how do I capitalize on that? That's the give back version of Health Accelerator, right? Maybe it's some knowledge that you have that others in the environment don't have. Maybe it's the ability to be consistent. Maybe that's inspiring someone else, right? Maybe it's your presence. Maybe you have a commanding presence. And so when you walk into the room, it just brings the energy up in the room, right? And so it's your job to put your best foot forward. And how do you do that? By taking care of yourself, by making sure that your activity is on point. Okay. And when things don't go as planned, because sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes we fall a little bit short of a goal, and that's okay, right? You remember I competed at the World Championships in Las Vegas back in November. Did I win? Yes. I did what I had to do to win. And I was just talking to one of my trainers about this yesterday. And he was saying, look, like you have to go into competition knowing exactly what it takes to win. That's the strategy behind it. Now, did I accomplish everything I wanted to there? No, I didn't. Right? I didn't hit the goals I wanted to hit that I set for myself on the numbers. I had separate goals there. One of the goals was to win, right? So I strategized and I did that. But the other goal was to get some personal bests and some state records, and I didn't do that. And that's okay, right? Because I set myself up for success. And that's the key, right? I was consistent with my training. I was consistent with my strategy. I was in with my workouts. I was consistent in doing everything I needed to do, my mindset work, my scripting, all of those things leading up to it. And so I control the outcome, but I could control my effort. My efforts were there. So some people, and I had people say, man, I'm so sorry you didn't do what you wanted. Like, you must be so disappointed. And it was like, yeah, I'm a little disappointed, but I'm super proud of myself because I fought back and I showed up. I did what I came there, which was win. But two, I gave myself every opportunity to reach my goal. So it was within reach. It just didn't happen. And that's okay because my effort was consistent. And so I'm still going to hit those goals. It just didn't come as fast as I would want them to, right? Or as I wanted them to. So when you think about your goals, okay, consistency is key. Again, you can't control the outcome. Yes, we set the goals. Yes, we have the action plan to get there. The only thing we can control is consistency and our efforts. And that's where you have to bet on yourself. You have to say, I'm betting on myself that I can make sure I get this done today, whatever that looks like, right? So I also heard, and I've been giving a lot of sports references lately because I don't know why, I guess I've been watching more sports and more sports videos, but Giannis, and I cannot say his last name, but he plays for the Milwaukee Bucks basketball team. Okay. He was interviewed and this was, I think last year, or the year before, but he was interviewed and they were telling him, or they were asking him, was this season a failure because they didn't win the championship? And he said, well, Michael Jordan, which most of us know who Michael Jordan is, right? Considered probably the greatest basketball player ever. Michael Jordan played for 15 seasons. He won 6 championship rings. Were the other 9 seasons considered a failure? No. He's still known as one of the greatest of all times. And it's because of his efforts, because of his work ethic, because of his habits that he created. Right? And those habits are what made him one of the greatest of all time. Right? Those habits. And that's what people always tell stories about. If you listen to athletes talk about the greats in their sport, they talk about people's work ethic, their consistency. And I'm not saying you have to go above and beyond and be absolutely obsessed with the training and the nutrition. What I'm saying is, though, you have to bet on yourself. You have to say, hey, listen, I deserve to reach my goals. I can't control whether I reach them or not. I can't control what happens outside around me, but what I can control is my efforts to get there. I can control if I'm modifying my behaviors to get me to where I want to be. I can control my efforts. And I can control my reactions to the things around me, right? I can't control how people are going to treat me. I can't control how people are going to respond to me. But what I can control is my reaction, and I can control my efforts. And that's how you bet on yourself. You're not betting on yourself to win or lose. You're betting on yourself to be consistent and to have the confidence to show up for yourself and show up for your why. That's why it's so important to have that strong why. And your why will change over time. I talk about that a lot. My why is not the same as it was when I first started Health Accelerator. Okay. When I first started Health Accelerator, my why was I needed to get healthy. And thank goodness that was my why, because I got healthy. Right. And now, even though I have some different health challenges I deal with, I am healthy. I'm as healthy as I've ever been, and I can show up for myself, right? So my why is much different now. My why is, hey, I've got to show up as the best version of myself. I've got to be okay. I've got to continue to do what I need to do so that I stay healthy, right? So I need to show up and be healthy, be consistent in the gym, be consistent with my nutrition, be consistent with my water, so that I can stay hydrated, so that I can stay healthy. So it's no longer to get healthy. One of my whys is I need to stay healthy because I need to contribute, right? And I want to be able to enjoy life, right? I want to be able to feel as good as I possibly can so that I can go on the trips that I get to go on, so that I can go and hang out with my granddad when I want to, so I can go and visit my parents when I want to. That's what being consistent is doing, right? That's my why. Okay. So really think about what your why is and how that ties into your goals. Okay. And as you move through the week, I want you to just ask yourself, right? Who has the ability to show up for you, right? You can show up for yourself every single day. You can bet on yourself, right? And the reason you can bet on yourself is because you're the one that can your efforts. You're the one that can control your reactions, right? Again, we can't control the outcome. But when you bet on yourself to control the efforts, you're going to win 100% of the time, right? When you make that priority number one, you say, I'm going to show up for myself. One, that raises your confidence. Look yourself in the mirror every single day and say, I choose to show up for myself today. I choose to bet on myself. And you can write that down. You can script that. I choose to bet on myself daily. Because over time, when we add up those things, when we opt in consistently, right? And what are you doing when you show up to these classes? You're opting in, right? You're getting the accountability. You're doing what you need to do, right? That's key. That's consistent. Whether you're watching live or watching the replay, right? When you're getting the information, not only are you getting the education, the motivation, you're getting the accountability, you're opting in. You're saying, you know what? I choose to bet on myself this week because I thought enough of myself to log into class, to hold myself accountable, and to remind myself that, yeah, I can do this and I'm not alone in this process, right? There are so many of us that are going through this process of continuing our health journeys wherever you're at in your health journey. Maybe you're in maintenance, maybe you're in trying to build, maybe you're trying to lose. What is it that you're trying to do? Right? And how are you showing up for yourself on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis? Those small little actions over time add up. That's where habit change comes in. That's where new habits are created. And that's consistency. Okay. And that's not saying that you're not going to have a day or two where you're like, man, I just really don't feel like it. You're going to, I promise you that, because it's hard to maintain maximum effort all the time. It's possible, but being realistic, it's hard to maintain maximum effort all the time. But that's what's beautiful about the Health Accelerator program. You opt right back in on the next decision you make, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistently better. Remember, we talk about the concept of tipping the scales, right? To that 51%. And if you are 51% or better, doing better than you were, you're going to see progress. Now, that 51% is going to be slower progress than if you're at 80, 90, 95%, right? That's math, that's statistics, but you're still going to see that progress. Okay. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to really think about where you're at. I want you to look at your goals now that you've heard this, now that you've heard that you're going to bet on yourself. Look at your goals, and are you betting on yourself with your goals, right? Did you set them too small? Do you need to go a little bigger? Do you need to challenge yourself? Right? Again, we are all a little apprehensive when it comes to setting challenges for ourselves, and that's okay. You should be. Your goals should scare you just a little bit because they're going to push you outside of your comfort zone. If you're not stepping outside of your comfort zone and you're living in comfort, you're not going to make progress, right? It has to be a little uncomfortable, and you've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? So I want you to really think about, what is it that you are going to bet on yourself for? Okay. What are those daily, weekly, monthly actions that you are betting on yourself to get done? And I want you to really put them in a place you can see them. That way, every single day when you're opting in, you can look at yourself in the mirror and you can say, I'm betting on myself to get this done today. That's where consistency comes in. That's where discipline comes in. And I have that quote that I said this like a month or so ago. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. That's written right on my mirror in my bedroom. So I see it every day. Discipline is choosing between what I want now and what I want most. So that when I don't feel like working out, when I don't feel like getting out of bed at 4:30 in the morning, I still do it, right? Because I see that it's right there. It's like, okay, consistency. I got to get up. I got to do this. All right. And so, again, are there days where that doesn't happen? Few and far between, but yes, there are. And that's okay because consistently I do the things I need to do so that I can maintain that healthy lifestyle and I can maintain showing up for not only myself, but for my family, for my clients. I'm here, right? Because I feel great. I'm energized. Even though if you're an Atlanta sports fan, they lost today, right? It was very disappointing, but I didn't let that affect my mood, right? Because at the end of the day, they don't know who I am. It's not going to matter in 5 years that they didn't make it to the playoffs this year, right? So that's another question you can ask yourself. And that's something I've done a lot within this health journey is, hey, is this going to matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, then let it go, right? I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it did. But if it doesn't matter in 5 years, just let it go. It's not a crisis, right? So really think about that and think about what is it in your goals? What are you betting on yourself for? And I want you to start scripting. I choose to bet on myself daily. The amount of confidence that that can bring just by saying that to yourself every day, and then watch your goals transform, watch your goals get reached. Because when we increase our confidence, we are the sky's the limit, right? And beyond. We can do whatever we want. And so that's when we start thinking bigger and dreaming bigger. So start small if you need to, build that confidence up, but choose to bet on yourself every single day. Because one thing I know is that you did bet on yourself to show up here today. And you did bet on yourself to get the information and to get in a program, right? That's why you're here. You bet on yourself. And so continue to do that. Be proud of yourself and celebrate your wins. All right, so that's the theme of 2025. We are betting on ourselves this year, and we are going to make a lot of progress. I've seen so many of you make so much progress, even just since the new year in the first 5 days of the year. And I'm so proud of each and every one of you. I'm proud of each and every one of you for showing up here consistently. And I will see you back here next Sunday at 7 p.m. So that'll be January the 12th. 7 p.m. Eastern. And until then, I'll see you in the Facebook group. Reach out if you need to get into an accountability program. I'm happy to talk to you and see where exactly is the best fit for you. And until then, see you next Sunday. And I hope you choose to bet on yourself every single day this week. And I can't wait to see your progress. Bye, everyone.